I DM'd him on Twitter.
Did you?
And yeah, he followed me back. He's like, your app sounds sick. Let's go. And I'm like,
Dude, that's
really?
awesome.
He signed up. We recovered over $1 million for him in like 2 months or 3 months. And then I found out that the whole time, I didn't know this while we were working with him, my friend was running his Facebook ads.
Dennis, how you doing, sir?
Doing beautiful. I'm local too in Austin, Texas, so it feels good to be close, even though we're on video and on a podcast, but doing great, man. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm doing okay. We got to go hiking or something. I've been doing a bunch of hiking lately, so we got to get out.
About activities. Let's do it. The weather's still good.
Dude, I was checking out your Instagram a little bit last night. I think you're the coolest guy in like tech Austin, like across the boards. You're just like
I wish that was cool.
You're like basically a rock star for all intents and purposes.
Wow, yeah, I wish that was true. I'm playing a Sims character. It's okay.
Yeah. So got the Slack notifications popping. So how, like, it's obviously a crazy time right now with COVID and the elections and everything. What are you doing to kind of stay sane in the midst of it all?
I was fortunate enough that I bought a house during COVID. So I was living in a studio condo, 540 square feet with all of my amenities locked down. Granted, the last 10 years of my life, I've worked at home. So this is nothing new to me, but not having access to really go outside, upgrading, into a house where I have my own yard. I can let my dog out. I can go breathe. I don't have to ask for permission. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm being safe, but and having the responsibility of that kind of stuff has really helped me stay sane, just because those are the things I like doing. I like skateboarding. I like running. I like meeting people. Unfortunately, that's kind of on pause, but for the most part, just working and staying focused and being thankful. No one in my family has gotten super sick. My mom did have COVID, but aside from that, just kind of trying to focus on my routine and not ignore what's going on, but not fall down the rabbit hole of everything. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen anyway.
Yeah. Did your mom get better pretty quickly, or?
Yeah, she thought she had pneumonia, and went to the hospital for a night. And then the next day she went home, got tested, and found out she had COVID. This was like late February.
Okay.
So it was really early. But after that, everything's been fairly normal.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like I'm pretty routine oriented too, and stick to the routine. Gym, work, Twitter, other stuff. And,
that's life.
That's life.
Gym, work, Twitter. Throw some tanning and laundry in there. We're full on.
You're good to go.
Gym, tan, laundry, Twitter.
Repeat. All right. Mm-hmm. What does your routine look like?
I wake up early. Like, I'm a morning person. I know some people are like, how can you get up early? I'm like, how can you not? It's the same feeling that some people.
I've always been a morning person. Yeah, and most developers are not, and I've always been. It's like a weird thing, Most rock stars are not morning people, and you.
No, they're in the studio from 8 p.m. until 6 in the morning, and I used to do that when I was living in LA, going to studio sessions and just working and hanging out there. But I'm like, I prefer the same thing, but like kind of living during the regular hours of the day, right? Like if only you could stay up 24 hours and banks and grocery stores and things were open at 3, 4 in the morning, sure. But I wake up at 6:30. I try to get my run in before I can even think about not doing it. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that's, before 8. Then I'll get coffee. I'll sit down and I'll eat breakfast with my dog, make him food. And then I start work. I don't get on the computer until I've done those things.
Nice.
And granted, it's not a lot, but I take care of myself. I shower, I feed myself, take care of my basic duties. And then I get on with my day. Aside from that, it's pretty much LiveRecover from, I think my calendars are open from 9 in the morning until 6 p.m. So some days I have 8 demos, some days I have 0. Nice. And that's because we're a small team and we don't have a full sales team. We're only a full-time team of 11 people. Then 8 of them are texting agents, right? So really it's 3 core team members. Mm-hmm. So we all wear a few hats, but yeah, then after I'd say like 7 or 8, unless there's an emergency or something, I'm probably not working anymore. And I might just be on Twitter or reading or something along those lines. But yeah, I go to bed early. I'm never usually awake past 10:30 or 11 during the week unless I'm going out or something. And I'm pretty disciplined about that.
Nice. Dude, I try to do more reading, but I just can't. Like I can't. I try to be like a book person, but I listen to a lot of podcasts and you can learn a lot or audio book. I can't even really do audio books. It's got to be podcasts. But I wish that's one thing I want to get into my routine is the reading part, you know?
I think reading, for me, it's hard too. Like, I like to learn, but I don't like reading because I'm like, oh, I could be doing so many other things at once. But
Yeah.
when you're listening to a podcast, and maybe not this podcast because it's so great, but if you're listening to another podcast or an audiobook, you're usually doing something else at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm on a run, I'm working out, I'm
Right.
doing this and doing that. It's almost like you're passively trying to learn, which can help and will work probably a little bit over time
Right.
with repetition. But when
Right.
you're reading, you don't do anything else but
You're
sit and
active.
read. You're
Yeah.
holding the book with your hands. You're turning the
Yeah.
pages. You're
Yeah.
maybe taking notes. Like, you're really
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
Nothing else is in your face. So
Yeah.
when you do that, and you might need to read a book twice or three times to get it. Just like if you watch a movie three times, you focus on different parts. It's no
Yeah.
different, right? So
Yeah.
I think I'm not the best reader typically, and this has been taken away from me, and I'm not complaining. This is a very privileged thing to complain about, but I love reading on airplanes because I have nothing else to do.
Right.
I love to read and
Right.
work on airplanes because it's like, of course, like Wi-Fi is limited, but reading on planes for me is like the most enjoyable thing.
Nice.
Anyway, but
I was checking out your Instagram. You're like on private jets all over the place. Like, what? That's awesome, dude. Like,
a few times.
that's cool. That's cool.
My
So,
family lives in Norway, but I have a family member who is very generous and only travels private, so I get the benefit of tagging along, if you
that's
will,
awesome.
pretending I'm cool.
Yeah, yeah. I saw your tweet about being the first of your family born in America or something like that, or American. And I just assumed you were an American dude, but that's cool. So you're from Norway.
Yeah, jeg snakker norsk, and I also snakker engelsk.
All
So yeah,
right.
I speak Norwegian, and I also speak English. Yeah.
Full on. Yeah,
Yep.
that sounded like a good accent as far as I could tell, you know.
There you go. Yeah. All
Um,
intents and purposes, it
so
was.
I read so I read that Fast Company profile of you, and you've had a pretty interesting life and career. I think you're the coolest guy in the Austin tech scene. And so you were like a professional gamer at age 15 or something like that.
Yeah, back then it wasn't really professional, but we were the first gaming team sponsored by Newegg in
Okay.
2004. We ran a gaming server provider, a GSP, kind of like an ISP for your internet is an internet service provider.
Mhm.
Gaming server providers that provide servers to host your games are called GSPs.
Okay.
So we built a GSP. One of the founders of our clan was 17, doing $1 million a month in revenue. We were all employees of this GSP working over IRC, but we were sponsored by the team, so we looked cool, and we were really fucking good.
Yeah.
We played for money. We were in something called Cal Premier and also another league called Cal Invite. And now
Yeah.
this has grown into this massive business. But all of us kind of got out when we started getting girlfriends when we were 18. And then
Right.
I kind of wish I had still played, but at the same time, I'm happier that I got into software and marketing because Counter-Strike is what took me there, right? I kind of owe all of it to playing games. But I also played Quake 3 before that, but I wasn't competitive. I was only competitive in
Yeah.
Counter-Strike.
Dude, are you a fan of Naval Ravikant at all? He's on Twitter at Naval. He's like the
Yeah, I mean, Joe Rogan was cool. I followed him for so many years. He's a very
yeah,
wise man,
he's
and he's good
super
at tweets.
yeah, he's amazing. I think he said something recently about games. He said and he came out he was like games are bad, which obviously is a controversial thing. A lot of people it's a
Right,
career. But he said something that stuck with me. He was like life is a game, right? Like what you're doing in marketing is like it's all a game. Like why not play games where you're actually getting real world
right.
results out of
Money is
it?
points, and time invested is leveling up. I mean, you can look at
Right,
it very that so. I've looked at it that
right,
way too before
right.
I knew who he was. But I agree. I mean,
Yeah,
do I spend time playing a game like a video game where if I'm not a competitive or gaming player in the year of 2020 where I can make tens of millions of dollars being a YouTube influencer, sure, that sounds great. I would love to do that if that was my path
hmm
now. But
hmm
once that game turns off, if you're not a pro gamer, like what are you playing for? Right?
hmm
If you invest
hmm
in yourself, you're playing the game of life, right? At least everything you do like has compound interest and you're
right.
accumulating skills and hopefully some money and eventually some assets and then
Yeah,
eventually wealth, which maybe correlates to your happiness a little bit
yeah,
because who doesn't want some more money as long as
yeah,
it's not the only thing.
yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great way of looking at it. That's why I don't
Yeah.
play games.
Yeah. No, yeah, when I saw that in the profile, it made me think of like what he said about it. And it's like everybody's playing games at like different levels, but it's kind of about where are you putting your time and stuff
100%.
like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
And I thought it was interesting that you were saying that it was wild that you got out of the influencer market. So you had a whole influencer marketing platform that you built and that you ran in like 2014, something like that.
Yeah, 2013 until 2016. It was called Exposely. We launched right really early. I mean, I used to have 10 million followers on Twitter though, across all these meme accounts. So I had about 14 or 15 accounts. They all had anywhere from 600K to a million followers, different themes like travel and cars and food and cute girls and architecture, whatever,
Right.
random tweets, just or sad, self-deprecating tweets. And those scaled, right? And when you post links on those at 10 times a day or 6 times a day across those many followers, you can drive hundreds of thousands of unique clicks a day.
Yeah.
So I used that to build a platform for myself, and then I realized, well, I know all these other people on Twitter who do this for profit, basically.
Mm.
And it turned into we did multiple millions in our first year, and it became a big business. But as 2015, 2016 rolled around, it was like it kind of felt like how SMS marketing felt for influencer in 2016. It's like, oh, you're doing CBD or SMS. Oh, you're doing influencer marketing. And every call I had, it was like, hey, how are you different than these 8 other companies? And I'm like, well, those are just WordPress sites with an agency doing a service business. We have a programmatic performance-based advertising platform. You
Yeah.
don't have to talk to me to make a campaign. You can just upload your type of campaign, upload a budget, plug in your pixel, add in UTM parameters, the instructions, and we have 20,000 influencers who will do this on a performance basis that you
Mm-hmm.
set,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it was very different than what everyone else was doing, minus maybe 1 or 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And the other person who did it was called, uh, they got acquired by Twitter. I can't remember what their name was.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so this was
But
early
it's
2015.
it's interesting because that was pretty early, and it's like I'm much further behind these industries, but it feels like from my perspective, influencer marketing has kind of just started to take off in, I don't know, recent years. Obviously, it was taking off way before that, but it seems like it's a pretty big industry
It's
right
gotten
now.
bigger as more people get online, more people think, I'm going to be an influencer as a career too, right? So you see a lot more, quote, micro influencers and all these kind of basically this ad inventory that's adding itself to be tapped into.
Yeah.
But if you look back, there was a brand called Daniel Wellington that made watches, and they became one of the first brands. This is pre Fashion Nova, pre all these brands. They became the first $1 billion brand off Instagram, and they went from 0 to billion in like less than 30 months, 24 months maybe, just because they gifted influencers. And this was around the time that we were doing all of this
Wow.
stuff too. So pretty early, but yeah, you're right. I shut the business down in 2015, 2016 because I thought the space was getting congested. And I figured that the future was not really about being a marketplace where you can come tap into our influencers. It would be to enable a brand like American Express to have influencer.amex.com where you create relationship equity with these influencers over time. So instead of just paying a 30% fee every time you want to get some performance, you actually own the long-term relationship. So you basically a SaaS tool for influencer. And now that those are the leading tools for the most part, are
Gotcha.
products like Grin that help enable brands to host and manage their own influencer marketing campaigns opposed to having to tap in. Because at that point, when you're just always paying for that help. And an influencer would rather work with the brand directly than go through an agency every time. I mean, I
Right.
know that I would
Right.
never post for Taco Bell for $25, but if I got a DM for Taco Bell from them directly for a $25 post, I'd probably do it just because it'd be funny that Taco Bell DM me directly.
Right. Totally. So I really enjoyed the podcast you did with Eric Van Holds recently on practical commerce. I was what's that? Beard Brand?
Just shout out Beard Brand. Yeah, Eric's a
Shout
good
out
guy.
Beard Brand. Yeah. I was checking. I saw a link to a YouTube video of some dude getting his haircut there today, and I was like, yeah, I got to get my
Yep.
haircut there next time.
Yeah,
So
you should. I got my
that
haircut there too.
was it cool? Is it a cool
Yeah.
experience?
So ironically, my friend Justine, that I've known for 12 plus years, since MySpace, longer, before she was even in college or did hair, she's now a hairdresser there. And I went to get her haircut, and she used to have her own studio. And she's like, "Oh, I work at this place, Beard Brand now." I'm like, "Oh, what?" I totally
You're like,
forgot.
what? That's
It
awesome.
was great. And I guess they've cut, Noah Kagan and
Right.
Austin
Right.
Connor, and a couple other
All the
people's hair. So I'm
cool, all the cool guys, all the cool
like,
Austin guys. Yeah,
maybe
that's
I'll
awesome.
do this.
Um, but so it was funny. Like I was cracking up at the part where you're talking about like Twitter follower ratios. And I know you were talking about like the phase where you were more like growth hacking Twitter versus like now you just kind of use it organically, post whatever comes to mind without thinking about how to schedule it or what, what are people going to think, which I think is the more kind of organic way to use it. And I'll think about the ratio thing sometimes too. I'm like, that's so stupid, such a stupid way
Like,
to
why
do
do
it.
I care? I use Twitter because I want to learn from people and hopefully teach
Yeah.
some people, but mostly so I can selfishly learn. And if
Yeah.
I'm only following 900 people because I want to look cool on Twitter, that doesn't
Yeah.
help me learn. It just means I'm only learning from a select few. I want to
Yeah.
open the door, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going
Yeah.
to limit myself to the certain amount of books or people I can learn from because I want to look a certain way. I'm done with that.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I worry, like the thing now though, if there's somebody who I'm like, I think I want to follow them, but I'm not sure, is like, if I follow them and then like a few days later, I'm like, oh, I'm not really interested in that stuff. And then I unfollow, I feel like they're going to think I'm doing some growth hacking on them. So then I'm like afraid to do the
That's how
initial follow. I hate that.
That is how I feel. But so what I do now is I follow people, and if I don't like what they have to say all the time, I mute them so they're no
Yeah.
longer in my feed. But then
Yeah.
every now and then I think about them or I see that they liked something I said, then I
Yep.
go to their profile and I
Yep.
troll.
Yep. 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 I do a lot of that too. I love the way you use Twitter and just like you're like super transparent about everything from like how you're sleeping to just like stuff you're going through, which I think is a cool way for people to use Twitter, to just put themselves out there.
I mean, life is hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard, and
Yeah.
I've dealt with a lot of things that probably people have dealt with, and maybe most people have dealt with more. But I'm not proud to say this, but just honestly, like when my last company shut down, we were, in some acquisition talks to buy our business for a large 8-figure sum, and it fell through because my co-founder locked me out of the code base and left with the other 3 engineers and raised a Series A from someone else. And
Wow.
I got addicted to Xanax because I was anxiety through
Wow.
the roof. I'm like, oh, I'm ready to go work at this massive company that's about to buy us because they
Wow.
see maker studios and all these YouTube MCNs getting acquired for hundreds of millions. They can get us for a
Hmm.
fraction and we're more scrappy with a small team, right? So
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
all the way to now, I'm looking at where I am. I'm thankful again to be in a good position. But yeah, being an entrepreneur is hard, man. And
It
if
is.
anybody sees what my honesty, I hope is not coming off ever as rude because sometimes I'm opinionated. But like, yeah, things happen.
Yeah, I think there's that, like when people are honest and raw and direct, it can cause for arguments, and sometimes the arguments can be more constructive than others. But dude, I think that's so cool that you can be so transparent about that stuff. I know like Gary Vee talks about the dark side of entrepreneurship a lot, right? Like there's a lot of people that are super depressed or you're just working alone, like whatever, and you can feel quite a bit of depression and stuff like that. So I think
100%. I think that this is something that like it's not popular to talk about it because what's the answer that everyone wants to hear that you want to tell everyone? Oh, we're crushing it. Everything's good. I mean, I know for my co-founder and I, we've spent 26 months on our business and we haven't been the best at delegating, like to hire people because we're not the best at trusting people and because we both are very good at what we do.
mhm,
No one can do it better, right? But that's not how you scale a business, right? We haven't taken a vacation in 2 years and we're
right,
profitable, we're growing, we're a phenomenal business. I'm very happy for the position we're in, but I
right,
haven't done a good enough job allowing myself to live while running. I am the business, not running the whole business. Does that make sense? And so
mhm,
we're
mhm,
learning that now. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, and myself have done this and still do, is kind of tie your business's worth to your self worth. And that's a
yeah.
very, very slippery slope and scary
It's a
place to be.
it's a dangerous place to be. So LiveRecover, your SMS abandoned cart solution,
Yep.
looks. I mean, I love it. Like it looks incredible. It seems like you guys are doing incredibly well. Another thing I picked up from that podcast that you did was like, the industry really well. You don't BS when it comes to like different tools people are using and things like that. So it seems like a great solution. And like your offer, like $500 risk-free trial, don't even have to put a credit card down, is like, to me, that's nuts. Like that's got to be converting really well for you.
It converts well, right? I mean, we don't want anyone to feel like we're asking for anything up front. We'll give you, 2 weeks of usage or $500 in revenue up front. Obviously, we have bigger stores join sometimes that recover 5,000 in a day, right? We don't cap them at 500. We give them, you should have enough data after a day or two if you've generated that much in recovered revenue in a day. But
Right.
for the most part, yeah, the offer is pretty good. We know where we stand in the market. We're we're supportive of our competitors, right? If anything, we're all bringing more education to the space, which hopefully draws more market pull to more people wanting to try solutions. And I don't mind if a customer outgrows us and ends up at PostScript or Attentive. And I also love to be a part of the conversation if our product is used in parallel with PostScript and Attentive, which we see a lot, right? Because we're a we like to think of ourselves, and I know I've said this before, but we think of ourselves as a steak knife and they're a Swiss Army knife. We're not building a Swiss Army knife, but whenever
Yeah.
you want to cut deep, use us, right?
Yeah.
And I foresee there not potentially being a situation where we're maybe even a managed solution on top of PostScript or Attentive, because we know where we sit. We don't want to build
Yeah.
$100 million or even $1 billion business. We're
Yeah.
cool with building a $10 to $20 million quote lifestyle business. Hey, with 60 to 70% margins, I
It's a
love that
business.
lifestyle
It's a
business.
great business. Yeah.
Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. So I actually built an email abandoned cart software for Magento, like, I don't know, 5 years ago. Got a small acquisition out of it. And it feels like
Congrats.
this is like a new and improved version of that. Like that was for Magento and it was email. This is text for Shopify. And it's funny. I think I was sort of very short sighted when it came to thinking about competitors. Like if somebody was even remotely a competitor, I was like, I don't want to talk to you. We're competitors. And then it took me a while after the fact to realize that, like, I had a customer that was using both my solution and another email solution together, and I was like, oh, it's the same thing you're saying. Like, to the extent that the tools are different, customers can use you in different contexts.
Right. And we know that we are a product. We are not a platform. And we went about that intentionally. I have a co-founder who's an amazing guy. He's extremely smart. He's too smart to be building SMS marketing software, which is why we, deliberately said, let's just build the best product that we can. Let's let other people build the 50, the 250 person team that want to build a platform and support 10,000 customers. We'll
Mhm.
take the couple thousand customers and run a nice profitable business, and then we'll rinse and repeat, right? I mean, we have enough ideas to make a few more businesses if we wanted to, or to decide on a more challenging problem
Yeah.
to solve.
The VC thing is interesting. Like I've always been very kind of bootstrap oriented. And I know you were posting about like the fast valuation recently and stuff like that. And it's such a weird thing with company valuations. There's a lot of stuff that's seems very inflated and just weird.
There is.
Um,
Have you seen it's Chamath and Jason
yes.
Calacanis talking about the VC Ponzi scheme? That's just what I
Yeah.
think of, because I'm like, I'm not disrespecting Fast. I think that they have some really talented people. They have a very big organization for what seems like a product that doesn't have a lot of adoption yet. And that's not to say that they won't, but because they're entering such a mature space, I have a hard time understanding, like, Shopify is not letting you on their platform. Your valuation is as much as the platform BigCommerce that you're supporting. $1
Right.
billion valuation, raising at 200 million at 1 billion.
Right.
BigCommerce IPO'd at 1.1 billion. How are you bigger than the platform that you're on? If you're
Right.
blocked by all the other platforms, you'll never be on Amazon.
Right.
PayPal has their own solution for the rest of the web. Apple Pay
Right.
exists as well, Venmo, Cash App, right? So for me, I'm
Right.
just Afterpay, Quad Pay. I'm just thinking you're a
Right.
little late to the party.
Right.
Granted, there are some very cool people that work there and talented people, but that doesn't change the fact.
Right. Yeah, no, that does make sense. I hadn't even thought it through in those different dimensions, but yeah, there is a quite a bit of. It seems like there's a lot of limitation there on the growth.
I mean, that's
And
how SMS is right now, though, right? I mean, look at our competitors, and I'm applauding them for this because this is helping our valuation too. But our competitors, I mean, Attentive has raised $390 million at a $2.2 billion valuation. That means that their only next option is to either buy MailChimp or Klaviyo. And then they're going to
mhm,
compete against what? Salesforce? Like, they're too big. Like, that's beyond anything I'm thinking about. I'm
yeah,
like, oh, probably in the $100 million valuation range, maybe, right? That's
yeah,
great. You're killing
it's
it. And
yeah,
LiveRecover fits in for those who want a premium service for a platform. It's very weird to look, but we're okay with where we sit, if that makes sense. Some people want to compete with everyone and race to the front of the line. I'm not saying I'm in a race. I'm happy with taking third place of a huge line.
yeah,
First place is not my ambition for this project.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah, I've always been real bootstrap oriented. It's just like you can have a simple business that is makes sense. It's sane. You can have a work schedule that's a little more sane.
Right. You said
Um,
you sold your business, right? You maybe wouldn't have been
yeah.
able to if it was VC backed. You probably would have had to swing for the fences or whatever the
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
is, right?
yeah, yeah. What, dude? When it comes to Twilio, man, I'm like, I should have invested in Twilio. It's probably
You
still a good
know what
time
I
to
tweeted
invest.
about that? I
I
posted
think
about
you,
what I said I was. I posted a whole thread that said, if I look at the two companies we built our whole business on, when we started LiveRecover, Shopify was trading at $88 and Twilio was trading at 25. Now Shopify is trading over 1,000 and Twilio is trading over 300. So we could have made over 800 to 1,000% returns on our money if we put the money into the companies that we built our whole business around. Is that a
it's
little
so
bit
bad.
scary to have all risk in the companies you're using? But yeah, if you support and you're building a business around these tools, you should probably have some money.
Yeah. And I saw somebody say recently, like, if you are as somebody that's in tech, and if you're using a tool, like you don't feel like you're an early adopter. Like if you're using Twilio, you don't feel like you're an early adopter of Twilio because anybody that's building an app is using Twilio for tech for
Right,
SMS. But compared to the whole population, you are an early adopter. So if you know a tool is good, you should be investing in it, you know?
right, right. That's why I bought back in, like a month and a half ago because I know how are
There you go.
politicians campaigning these days? Oh wait, it's through SMS. If you
Right.
want to do contactless and touchless, like book an apartment, give me feedback at Starbucks, it's no longer call my manager, it's text this number. I mean, I see
Hmm.
it everywhere. I pay attention to it because this is what I do for work,
Yeah.
right? I'm just thinking about it from the grand scheme. Twilio is the one that's winning here. I mean, they just
Right.
bought
Right.
Segment for $3 billion, and I use Segment also. I'm like,
Right.
shit, they were a private company. I couldn't have acquired any shares, I guess, if I was, whatever, a
Right.
secondary with shares, but I'm not an investor that has money to do
Right.
that.
Right.
But yeah, so, I mean, to your point, yes,
Dude,
invest in
so
the use.
yeah. So I think you said that you guys did the text messages for Andrew Yang's campaign.
We did. We did the political donation recovery for Andrew Yang over
That's
SMS.
wild, man. I mean, he's a cool dude. Like, like exactly how well will some of those ideas work out? It's hard to say, but you have to admit it's impressive how quickly he got his ideas out there and really how well he got his message out there. He's just a guy I respect too because he doesn't play the game of like politics and stuff like that. But
He seemed like a political non-politician, and we
yeah,
were honestly, it was the easiest. I actually didn't know this, but I DM'd him on Twitter,
did you,
and yeah, he followed me back. He's like, "Your app sounds sick. Let's go." And I'm like,
dude? That's
"Really?" Oh.
awesome.
He signed up. We recovered over $1 million for him in like 2 months or 3 months. And then I found out that the whole time, I didn't know this while we were working with him, my friend was running his Facebook ads to generate the traffic to get the donations. And he was an 18-year-old kid who also ran the campaign for the Bloomberg ads.
That's wild,
All
man.
small, very small circle. But yeah, Andrew Yang's a very progressive guy. I don't know if, I thought, like you said, his ideas were very progressive and unique. Some of them also were a little premature. If he had still been
Right.
running during COVID, I think he would have had a massive influx in voter support. But
Right.
we did do the recovery for him, which was, at the time, one of our bigger clients. But we do
Yeah.
have some customers that are doing, I think we have a couple of customers that have recovered, in the 5 to 10 million range in a
I
year.
saw the tweet you posted recently. I can't remember the numbers offhand, but it was some huge numbers. Might have been $4 million you recovered or
I
something
think
like
it was
that.
4.5 million recovered in a little over a year and a couple months with like a 15% recovery rate or something.
That's
Yeah, it's exciting
incredible.
to see those brands. But then I think about, we have thousands of customers, and in aggregate, those numbers are really big. And then I
Right.
think, wow, I really would love the opportunity to do this for Walmart.com or someone that does billions a year online, where I can say, look, just by acquiring our tool, you can look at the data across all of our merchants. But if you're Unilever, if you're Procter and Gamble, and you do direct to consumer, like we could bring in hundreds of millions of dollars minimum based on you seeing the data from these stores. Imagine your stores, your offers. I
Mhm.
mean, anyway, I know I'm just tooting my own
Do
horn
you?
because I'm biased, but it's crazy to look at the
Hey,
numbers from my own
that's what this is. That's
perspective.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's awesome. Are there limitations when it comes to if like you said, a Walmart, who knows what e-commerce platform they're on, or they're probably on a ton of different ones. I believe you guys focus on Shopify, but you also support other platforms as well.
Yep.
Would you be able to do like, does your solution plug into any different platform, to headless platforms and stuff like that?
Good question. So right now we have obviously a Shopify app which has been up for 2 years. Our WooCommerce app has been live for about 3 months with a couple customers there. We have a BigCommerce app that was just submitted to BigCommerce, so I don't know if it's approved yet in their app directory, but the app is done. We also have a Magento plugin that we're testing with a few stores. Like I say a few, like literally, I think we have 3 Magento stores.
Okay.
And then we just pushed support today for Cratejoy, which is a local Austin company as well
I
that does
saw
support.
that. Yeah.
So
Congrats on that.
today we support Cratejoy. And then we do have an API which would allow us technically to integrate into any website, but someone like Walmart or like anyone of that scale, we would have to hire
It would be
an engineering
custom.
team just to support that
Yeah.
integration and have dev support and just nonstop. I mean, that would be obviously an annual contract type of situation. And we're not an enterprise tool since we're a managed service, but the software we built could easily be white labeled so that Walmart's reps could become our texting agents and then use it for that business, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that would require, our API integration. And to be honest and like transparent, we haven't done any custom API integrations yet, just because that requires an annual contract, an enterprise deal, and that's more Salesforce / custom solutions.
Yeah.
Had some conversations, but no customers of that sort of up top market yet, just mid market and sort
Yeah.
of lower.
It's kind of a like when it comes to dealing with those bigger deals, like it's kind of ties a little bit into that VC conversation where instead of keeping things simple as a bootstrap business, like you're dealing with a different segment of the market where there's a lot more work. It's a much longer sales cycle. There's like
Oh,
probably more
six
BS to
months
deal
and
with.
they drop it, and then all of a sudden, do you guys have enough money in the bank to stay around to support us? Like, what
Yeah.
kind of question is that? We're bootstrapped and we're here. We're having this conversation. Like, we could
Yeah.
have bought our way here too, but aren't you glad that I made it here on my own? uh,
Yeah.
you can
So
look at it
like
from. I
yeah.
respect it too, right? Like, if I was to use a app and I said, "Hey, am I going to build my business around your app?" and you're only 2 months old, I'd have a different opinion than if you were 24 months old versus if you
Yeah.
were 2 months old but you had 50 million in the bank.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it's all very situational. Hopefully,
Yeah.
more people start to give a little bit of trust and want to risk on bootstrap companies, because I think we're going to see that that's sort of the future way to build a business. If you want to
Mhm.
live a happy, healthy lifestyle, of course, if
Yeah.
you want to grand slam and you want to become a billionaire, I think you should raise VC. Or
Mhm.
want to try to become a billionaire. But I like my odds at getting to 10 to 20 million a year a lot better than I do at getting to a billion a year.
I like them too. I like them too. I love with the text messages that you guys send. I saw like a screenshot of one of your ads, and it's like, hey, customer first name. I saw you were looking at the nitro coffee, whatever. Can I? Do you want a discount, something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
There's so many things. So I built an email abandoned cart thing. So I pay a
Right, you
lot
know
of
that.
attention.
You're a pro.
I pay a lot of attention to like the little things, and like one of the things that I didn't used to like about a lot of email was it was so long. There's just all this not, and so I would try to simplify it down. And I
Mhm.
love like there's several things I like about those text messages. I like how, for example, you say, "Do you want to see if I can get you a discount?" It's a subtle thing, but it's such a better message than like click here for 5% off or something like that,
Right.
because it
Hey, you
kind of
just forgot this in your cart.
yeah,
Cool. Okay.
yeah,
Thanks. I know that.
yeah,
It
yeah,
asks me something. Do I want a discount?
yeah.
Of course I want a discount. Uh,
Right, right,
oh, and
right,
you called me by name. You remind me what's in the product in the cart, and we check what's the
right,
most valuable product in the cart if there's more than one item. So we prioritize it by value.
right.
Uh, but yeah, to your point, that's one problem we're trying to hope solve is we've been discount centric as an app. So there are some apps, or I'm sorry, some brands and merchants that say, "Hey, I want to use LiveRecover, but we don't discount. We're not a
Right,
focused brand. We're a luxury brand or
right.
whatever, and shipping is already included, so the performance might not be there because you're just reiterating what's already there." Okay,
Mhm,
so we're
mhm,
taking that feedback, and now the future of the product is going to have something called message segmentation, which might come in Q4, but Q1 at the latest. But this will
mhm,
allow you to ask different questions based on things like, if cart value is less than $30 and I know my average order value is 35, instead of offering them a discount, let's find out why they left. Hey, I saw you're checking out this and this. Would you be willing to share why you didn't buy? Or is there any questions I could help you with? Now,
mhm,
they're still engaging and asking a question and hopefully learning from it, and then maybe even recovering the sale without incentivizing them with the discount. Of
mhm.
course, if we did that now, and your first impression with LiveRecover is, "Hey, you advertised 21% abandoned cart recovery rates. I just tried your app and I got 6%. Your app sucks." Well, I'm like,
Yeah,
well, you're also not offering discounts,
right,
and the rest of
right,
our companies do. That's what we do. We try to win someone back, right? Your goal is to
right,
acquire a customer, and after that, you own that customer. Your LTV might be $1,000, and you just paid us $4 to acquire a customer. I think the math there works out. Uh,
right.
even if your LTV is 40 and you paid us 4, well, I think that's still okay. Uh,
Right.
so I think,
So you
yeah,
kind of have to, you got to focus on kind of the like the niche that is working, and you probably have a lot of market yet to cover, right? With the solution that's working, which is a little discount oriented. That makes sense. I feel like people would probably respond well though, like you're saying, to like a simple like question, maybe that was kind of specific to the
right.
industry, right? Like if it's the CBD products, maybe there's certain types of questions they had. If it's, you know,
We do notice that some brands will use our segmentation tool and say like, I want to exclude carts that are under my average order value. Don't even
mm,
send them a text because they're not worth recovering in my eyes. AKA, they're kind of a not low, no, not low quality, but a low value customer in the funnel. And so
right,
instead of offering them a discount, I want to know why they abandoned. That would be a scenario where we don't even send text because they've excluded that whole segment of an audience. Now, instead of ignoring them, we can hopefully recoup enough sales where it's profitable for us and the brand, and then also the merchant is learning why they abandoned. So that's sort of part of an
right,
evolution of our product. And then something else that we haven't done, and I'm sure some of our competitors are doing this, hopefully. If not, then I'm glad that we are, is A/B testing coupon codes. So right now, if you set your value at 15% and your recovery rate at 15% discount is 20% recovery rate, that's phenomenal. But what if you offered 10% off instead of 15 and the recovery rate was still 20%? Well, then the
mm,
perceived value of the discount is the same. You may as well save that 50% discount margin and lower the percentage of the discount down to 10.
mm,
We're adding that as a feature so that you don't have to do all the guesswork. We're going to make suggestions and recommendations for you and then
mm,
allow us to sort of like automatically test a 50-50 weight. And that might grow into multivariate testing, but you don't have a lot of stores don't have a lot of scale to say let's test free shipping versus dollar amount versus percentage, right? Like some stores are only getting a couple hundred a month
yeah,
for tens of thousands, but with scale you could also potentially multivariant test discounts. So we're thinking about a lot of stuff, just also within the scope though of just abandoned cart recovery for the most part.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like the niche focus. And then so you guys charge your pricing model is like a commission on recovered carts.
Yeah, so our plan is like it's anywhere from 49 to 199 a month, which might be changing. I think we're consolidating to just one plan at $99 a month plus 5%. So if you're listening to this and you hear that, that's the price you're going to get. If you see on the website and it's more, just tell us and we'll give you the price that I just said. But yeah, it's $49 plus 10% commission or $199 plus 5%. But the thought is that we will consolidate into just one plan for $99 plus 5%. And then we don't
Gotcha.
charge you text messages or any usage costs, which in some scenarios is actually not beneficial to us. But of course, we want to give a great experience to our customers. But so in a scenario that you bought something from me from a LiveRecover text, right, because you forgot something in your cart, you had a question about the dog food if it was grain free, and we told you that it was grain free and your dog could eat it, so you ordered it, and then it's been 2 days and you're anxiously awaiting your order and you're like, where the hell is my dog food? You don't go to the support channel. You text back because that's where you bought it from. So in that case,
Mm,
our reps get routed those texts, and we've already
mm,
recovered the sale. It's in our best interest to basically put the fire out, right? We want to resolve this
mm,
customer's issue. We now have access to the thank you page because we sent you the link to the checkout, which then
mm,
turns into the order confirmation page, which means we can grab the shipping number. Also, our reps can check what the shipping and processing times are, and we can say, hey, Kaylin, I know you're excited to get your dog food, but it's only been 36 hours. And per our shipping page, processing times are 1 to 2 days. Shipping is 3 to 5 days. But granted, you'll have a tracking number as soon as it's issued. And if you don't hear anything by Monday, text us back and we'll get you sorted out. So we
mm,
do the cost on some sort of post-purchase support. And that helps because they don't go to you. They come to us. And we
mm,
bite the cost on all those texts and we, deflect that sort of first line of support whenever we are the one that recovered that
mm.
sale. I think there's a little bit
Yeah.
of a value add there that we don't really talk about much, but when you're a customer, you probably notice it.
Yeah, that's really cool, and it's like your incentives are aligned with the merchant because you're charging that commission base. My email product was actually also like commission based, and it just makes for like such an easy sale. But then, like you're saying, on the other hand, it might like with this idea of the non discount direction, it might not make as much sense, right? Because if you're going to invest time into something, you want to get a return as well as getting the customer return.
That's what we've been thinking
Um,
from the beginning is the intent's not as high. So I
Yeah.
mean, we might not win them back, right? But at the end, if it turns out to still be profitable and we can, grow our market share, then we'll take the loss because they're probably offering discounts on another segment of customers, or we wouldn't have had them as a customer anyway. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, the usage-based pricing I think makes a lot of sense for automated solutions. But since we're a fully human-powered, what's called peer-to-peer texting platform,
Hmm.
commission is kind of the sort of the cost structure we've stuck with.
Hmm. That's a really unique model. It's funny. I was actually thinking I think AI is like super overhyped almost all the time. But as I was hearing you describe the solution and how like a lot of times you answer questions, it's related to FAQs that are provided and stuff like that. I was imagining how you could build a pretty simple AI that could like ingest the FAQs for a brand. It could have some templates
That's what
around
we do. So
things.
our reps have something called intelligent replies. So
Oh,
whenever
nice.
whenever someone says, yes, I want the discount code, our reps don't have to type out and create the code. They hit send discount code, and all of a sudden
Oh,
we've
nice.
pre-populated a message, created an API call to Shopify, created a unique discount code, made all this messaging with an emoji and a thank you message, and all they have to do is press send.
Nice.
So like
Nice.
one rep can handle hundreds, if not 1,000 conversations per hour.
Really? That's wild. That's really cool. That's awesome. I
Yeah,
love
it's the
that.
same when you pull your phone out with Uber Eats or something, and Uber's on the way. If you open up your Compose to respond, it's already got 3 replies for you. I'm on my way. Be right there. Okay,
Mhm.
great. So our reps similarly have some similar things.
That's cool. So like taking a step back, like do you think that people are getting a little fatigued with SMS just in general? Like
I think
everybody's
so.
getting more
Marketers like myself and other people ruin everything good. I think I think that if the easy way is to look at email, copy and paste your strategy over to SMS, prioritize SMS over email on your homepage and say, "Wow, look how many SMS phone number lists, like look how big my list is growing." Well, okay, how fast is your email list decaying in growth if that's one question? Two, what's the LTV and the duration of subscription for that customer on SMS? Do they stay for
right.
weeks? Do they stay for months? Do they stay for a
Mhm.
year? I know I've been subscribed for some websites for 12 years, and they've probably emailed
Mhm.
me 1,000 times or more, at least thousands of times, and I haven't churned. No brand
Mhm.
is ever going to text me more than 50 times before I'm going to
Yeah.
leave after 5. So I
Yeah.
think I think that we haven't, and I want SMS to grow. Please, like, come to liverecover.com and use our business. But at the same time, don't just focus on the shiny object. Like, SMS is a piece of the puzzle, and not one piece of the puzzle is more important than the rest. You have to have
Mhm.
all of them to have a complete puzzle. And email's proven and tried and true. Certain channels are not going away, so take that for what it's worth. But I don't think SMS should be your number one focus, because most of the brands that and I say most as in two, I'm invested into 2 men's skincare brands, and both of them probably do about 25% of their revenue from email.
Nice.
SMS is not even 5%, right? So
Right. Right. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Email just kind of it just keeps chugging through the years, and it's like the open rates and stuff get lower and lower, but like it still drives a decent amount of revenue for a lot of people.
yep. You know
I
what
was
you're
gonna
expecting over email, right? Like SMS,
right.
you're typically expecting your friends to talk to you like a friend or a person, not to have
Yeah.
commercial messages sent to you. So I think the future of SMS is maybe more in concierge services and maybe brand messaging and things that aren't sales focused. And I say that as a tool that's purely sales focused, but like
Right.
I, I like I like getting texts from some brands when they're done right. I don't mind it, but I don't like getting
Right.
texts from Fashion Nova every day reminding me that their jeans are 40% off. I'm going to unsubscribe
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. That's one of the things I think is super interesting about your approach of being like a human powered deal, right? Because there's all sorts of SMS automation and stuff like that. And I mean I get so many automated ones, but there's something, it's like you said, people have a tendency to copy and paste their strategy from one technology to another, like from email to SMS. And there are things about SMS that are just fundamentally different in the way people expect communication to happen. Like you don't want to see a link in SMS unless like you've asked for something. You know what I mean? Like that's what I like about your initial message. Like there's no link, you
No,
know?
yeah, never. And
Um,
you're right. I mean, like if you think about it, and also that kind of goes to the point of like the behavior with human versus automated. I totally support automated text, and I think that there's a time and place for it, 100%. But like if I asked you, hey, Kaylin, do you want to go get a drink? Hey, Kaylin, this is Dennis from LiveRecover. I saw you were checking out my website. You want to go get a drink? Okay, let's pretend this was a normal conversation. Yo, what's up, man? I'm thinking of getting happy hour. Do you want to join? That's at 3:30.
Right.
You respond at
Right.
3:33. Sure, that sounds great. Where at and what time? Then I don't respond until the next day because I was waiting on a human to get to the response. Hey, sorry about that, Kaylin. I was looking for the answer yesterday. It's the next day now, but how about, blah, blah, blah. You're like, I don't want to drink. I wanted to
You're
drink
like, what?
when you text.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
unless
Yeah. Yeah.
provide live support, I think text, like if you're talking to someone and it's about a sale, you better be able to support them in real time, or else I wouldn't waste my time. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that your first message needs to be human, right? Ours is, but like an attentive postscript, whoever, they should have, in my opinion, something like us to jump in when there is a response. And I know that they have tools
Mm.
and integrations with Gorgeous and other help desk solutions that are trying to solve for this. And I love that. I support all of that. I want more of that.
Yeah. And you guys have like a 3-minute response time, something like that?
Yeah, from 8 in the morning until 9 p.m. It shouldn't ever be more than 3 minutes that you get a wait for a response from one of our reps.
Nice, nice. What brands do you think do SMS in terms of marketing, but also in terms of like community building in general, engagement in general? Which brands like do you think do that the best? And what are some of the things they do that are interesting?
So I have a hard time really thinking that any customer truly thinks that they're part of a community because they get texts from a brand. I don't think that I
Right.
ever pull out my phone. Oh my God, this is the coolest text I've ever gotten from a brand. I'm going to go talk about it on
I'm
DTC.
in the community. Okay.
No, I've never once felt that way. Have I thought that was a pretty good crafted text? Sure. Like I can think of some examples. One is Florence by Mills, and this is a mutual customer that uses LiveRecover or did use LiveRecover or something. I don't remember. It's a Millie Bobby Brown makeup brand, and they use Attentive as well. And this was an attentive message for all that's worth. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about another solution. But they sent video updates from the founder, who's like a 16 or 17-year-old celebrity actress, just talking about her using the product, putting it on her face, telling everybody how thankful she is for their support. No call
Mm,
to action, no link, no go buy my this, buy my that. And I'm like, to me,
mm,
that stands out because you just wasted or not wasted, but spent maybe thousands, if not even in the, $5,000, $10,000 to send this message out to a couple 100,000 people, even maybe 1 million people. Right? I'm sure
mhm,
they organically now went to your brand and thought, wow, I just got a thoughtful message from the founder. I think that that's a good way to go about it. But do I think that
mm.
brands are like, hey, text me and we'll give you this or that? It just kind of seems like novelty. Like we're just trying to force someone to use SMS just to say we're using SMS, and there's no real enhanced
Mhm.
benefit for the customer, right? Like I don't think I'm a part of a community because I read emails, unless I'm paying for a newsletter. And even then, I'm a customer. I'm not a part of the community unless I go on Twitter and I talk about it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you
It's
think
funny, like
brands that are cool enough to have a
I,
SMS community?
I'm one of these people like I like disable all my SMSs unless somebody's in my contacts and like favorited. Like it's too much. But it's funny because like I'm like a Gary V fan, and I'll go on in and out of like looking at his content. I haven't seen it in a while, but like I joined his text just to check it out
Hmm?
for the novelty. But after like 3 of them, I was like, I don't need that. I don't need this.
Right. Community.
Um,
Literally the app.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Literally, community. Yeah.
Obviously, he's pushing it.
Yeah. And it probably is successful. Like, but I mean, for me, it doesn't. But like,
It's
have you
pretending
ever
email. It's pretending to say SMS is not. It's SMS. It's not email, but we're treating it the exact same way. But it's packaged in SMS. So look how cool this is. That doesn't. You
yeah,
have to lead by action, not just by talking about it being different.
yeah. Have you ever thought about starting a brand yourself? Because you're like a pretty fashionable dude. Um, and obviously you're building a tech solution, but I don't
Yeah,
know. It just
I mean,
occurred to me like,
maybe not a clothing brand per se. My first company ever was a t-shirt, hoodie, and glasses brand on MySpace.
that's right.
So
That's
I did
right.
start out in e-commerce. I actually started out when WordPress was brand new and PayPal had their first buy button. That's when I started in e-commerce.
Dude, you've been in the game. Like you're only 31, but you've been in the game. Like you know about IRC.
Dude, I used to live in
Like
Jersey and do sales there. Yeah, of course. I mean, but I've
it's
heard about
awesome.
WordPress since the day it launched. I used to use Skype
Day one.
phone calls whenever you could Skype a landline and do nasty shit. I mean,
Yeah.
31, but I've been on the internet for more than half my life, probably 75%.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, I just had a brain fart, so I forgot what we were talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell we were talking about. Oh yeah, starting a brand. Oh, so
Oh
you
yeah,
did
brand.
the shirt
I
thing.
do have some. So I invested in a men's skincare brand called Disco. That's kind of like lotion and exfoliator and a cleanser. And I invested in a men's makeup brand called Strix. I don't wear
Really?
makeup, but they're in
Yeah.
yes, they have 5,000 store
It's a
rollout.
growing thing, right? Men's makeup.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
people have
happening.
scars that or a picture, an acne blemish, and if you want to cover it up real quick for a headshot, your LinkedIn picture, a company outing, whatever, it's understandable. I don't think there's anything to be embarrassed
Right.
about.
Right.
But for starting my own brand, I used to run products on Facebook, and I wouldn't call any of them brands. Like I shamelessly would buy inventory
Like
from China.
affiliate type
Pop up.
stuff.
No,
Yeah.
I would. I mean, even in my garage,
Oh,
right, I have 10,000 wallets in my garage right now. uh,
nice.
so I mean, I sell products online here and there, right? But for the most
Oh,
part,
okay.
I never started brands in the past. I'd pop up a store, do $1 million in revenue, get some margins, run a
Just
bunch of
arbitrage.
yeah, take it down, which was dumb because in the long term, if I had kept them, they probably would have been worth something. But moving
Right.
forward, like probably after LiveRecover, or even if we get the team in place where I can sort of delegate a little more, I really think I'm going to do a DTC tattoo product.
Dude,
I don't
that's a cool idea.
Yeah, and I have both my legs tattooed, like from my ankles all the way up to my waist, and so
Yeah.
if there's no product for direct-to-consumer tattoo owners, if you will, or people who have tattoos. So I want to do a lotion, a numbing cream.
Dude, that's a great idea. So is that like maintenance? I don't know too much about tattoos, although I'm 39 for my 40th. I might, if I can get a six-pack going, I might go nuts and get like a sleeve or something like that. So I'll have to talk to you about it.
Yeah, so like
But
you want to maintain the color, right? And so by using lotion,
got
right,
it.
obviously there could be some special formulation that makes it a little better for ink and longevity. But for the most part, hydrating lotion, there's already a lot of companies out there that have done that well. So it's not like the formulation needs to be spent a ton of money on. Just great branding,
Right.
a founder, and people who understand tattoo culture, and then just the distribution.
Dude,
And
that's
I
a
have all those things. So
great idea.
might be
That
just something I
seems
invest in or start, but we'll see.
It's so funny, man, because like I live in like a suburban like community with kids and stuff, and I'll go to the pool and like half of the parents have tattoos,
All
you
right.
know?
10 years ago, it
Yeah.
was kind of like, that person might not be trustworthy in some weird way. Now it's like, oh, that's just
Yeah.
neighbor Dennis. Okay. Yes, that's correct. I live here. I also have tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Now it's a fashion thing.
Uh,
But anyway,
yeah,
you are
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
Austin.
Yeah, welcome to Austin. How do you like your neighborhood, man? You're in a pretty cool spot.
Golden Creek is lovely, man. I see so many people walking around all day. My neighbor's a venture capitalist. The other one works at Salesforce. The other person's been
That's
there
awesome.
for 40 years and drinks two six-packs a day of Lone Star and just walks around all day. I'm like, geez, the contrast is amazing. And the people are cool. It's new character with also kind of, cherishing the old and hopefully not flipping and gentrifying the whole
Yeah,
neighborhood because there's a lot of character in
right,
the OG. And so, yeah,
right.
I think Golden Creek's awesome. Where
That's
do you live?
cool.
You up
Yeah.
north?
I'm up north. Yeah, I'm up in Georgetown, up in the sticks. But we
Here,
like it out here. It's yeah, yeah, near IKEA, dude. Like people love, like you talk about brands, like people love IKEA.
people
Like
look like it. And
people,
the founder was Swedish. And you also know that they actually paid no taxes
yes,
because the founder was a master finesser. And
really,
IKEA is set up as a charity, a design charity, and the retail stores lease the
really,
equipment from the charity and they donate the money to the charity. They never pay tax. So if anybody is talking about hating Jeff Bezos and Amazon, go look at IKEA. They paid
that's wild.
no tax for the last 20, 30 years or something crazy. But the founder
Really, but
died.
do they actually donate a lot of like?
No, that's just a structure of their company. They're a design company that
Holy
leases
crap.
their designs to a retail store, and the retail store pays them a 99% profit to lease the designs and pays 1% on that revenue as revenue from IKEA. It's crazy. Look it up.
What?
Look up IKEA founder $4 billion tax scheme or something. It's insane.
It's such a tax scheme, dude.
Swedish. They're not an American company, right? They were based in Sweden.
Right,
The founder died a couple years ago, but yeah, that guy was
right.
legendary for sure. And
Dude,
IKEA is a crazy
that's bonkers, man.
brand. Anyway.
Ah,
Good to have me,
well,
by the way. Good to talk to a local Keep Austin Weird Austinite.
yeah, man. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, dude. I appreciate it, man. Where's the best place for people to find you online?
Unfortunately, if you want to see me rant on Twitter, that's probably the place I spend the most time, and things I regret saying things. So probably the most unfiltered and best place. And then, yeah, at Dennis Hegstad on Twitter. If you can't spell it, I'm sorry. And then LiveRecover.com is the business. If you have an e-commerce business, we'd love to give you $500 in free recovered sales.